you know, the best part about all this, even regardless of how, you know, who wins this grand, you know, finals right now, we're going to see Clix and Vino at the Globals. We already know that. They have more than enough points to remain well inside the top 10, as do some of the other teams that are now in this final race for a podium finish spot. Who will remain up amongst the top 3? Who's going to take that Global Acts of Champions? This FNCS Acts of Champions, it's going to be ridiculous to watch play out. I'm excited, though. Game 11's here. Things are just getting started. And we know that, you know, Clix and Vino in particular are being straight contested, right? Like, and this is a super surprise to them. Very interesting, though. Maybe the team actually backed off because they touched down first. So Vino's got full visuals on what's happening here. No, he actually lands a little bit short, gets a weapon, and what is happening here? He's going to key into what is seemingly a pickaxe battle. This is so aggressive, but he wants the points here. Beautifully done there. He ends up closing it out, but oh my gosh, talk about a close call there.
Veno just doesn't care. I mean, he does, obviously, but that is exactly the kind of pressure player moment that we are just so familiarized of witnessing from Veno. And look, we get it. They're going to be at Globals, sure. This is about so much more than that, though, for Clix and Veno. You're looking at Clix trying to secure his first FNCS title. Veno on the other fold, stemming all the way back to the Dropspot Talk Show saying, I will bring him his first win. And yet, here they stand, trying to crawl their way, claw through the sort of barrier of points that Peterbot and Pollo have been able to establish in that 10th lobby. But this is everything to those two, and it is so obvious. They are truly giving it everything they've got, and they're not the only ones. That's the craziest part.
And it really has been back and forth. The lead falling either into the hands of Clix or the hands of Peterbot right now. Obviously, as it stands, they are trailing behind. But look at this. Olive Roji and Kreese end up coming through just in the nick of time to go ahead and win that one. That's going to be 2 eliminations for them. Putting them at well over 200 points now. A win can surely put them in the conversation for a top 10 spot, but that's going to be difficult to do amongst, you know, how consistent these players have been. Our top 4, right, when we were kind of going through that leaderboard, you know, we're rattling off exactly what positions these teams have been, you know, ending in. And they have all remained, you know, scarily consistent inside of the top 5 for 3 or 4 consecutive games now. Just impressive work and impressive to do against one another, right? Like, just given the weight of the competition right now. So it hasn't been any better than this. This is as competitive as it gets, and we are going to be in for a shakeup. So let's see it.
And I think it's so easy as well to kind of fixate on the conversation between first and second with Peterbot, Pollo, Clix, Veno, but I also want to draw some attention towards that 3rd place spot. Trashy and Threats. They have seemingly just been on this massive come up, right? And they've been holding strong. Steadily but surely working their way up with points. They've still got a decent amount of ground to cover, especially after that last performance on Peterbot and Pollo, but I don't think you can count them out by any measure. It's not that unreasonable to believe that they are just 1 or 2 plays shy of having their standout super pop-off game with eliminations, and I'm just expecting to see some craziness unfold in these last 2 lobbies. And already, you can see Threats getting a little active in that elim feed, but honing in on Reckless Railways right now. Blaha and Mixon, they're in a really tough position because saw them sitting right around that 19th place on the leaderboard. Keep in mind, this team, sure, they said, hey, we're on vacation in the States. We're going to be playing with 0 ping at least in Texas, but if they don't qual, that's kind of tragic.
Well, we were just looking at today's earned placement points. Blaha and Mixon are, or would have been top 10 already. So they are playing like they deserve their spot at the Globals. However, yesterday's performance is what's holding them back. So they're going to have to play above and beyond to make up for all those points. And with 2 games left, there's still a possibility to do so. But look at this, Threats and Trashy cleaning up house right here, sweeping the dust under the rug, finding Flappy, jumping on over onto Evan here, and it's just nasty work. That's going to give them 2 eliminations. They are already very much up inside of the race for first right now. 2 elims is a huge point swing, and that's 2 elims that go to them and 2 elims, you know, that otherwise would be cushioning Clix and Vino's position, given that that's the team that was contesting them. So that is also going to make a difference as we see kind of the push and pull dynamics go down here in game number 11. Here's a team that we can't count out, though, Taco. Rapid and Batman Booga, who have also continued to remain relatively consistent so far. 532 points right now is just such a strong, strong position right now for the amount of games that we have in front of us.
And what makes it even more monumental is the fact that Rapid and Batman Booga, they're down a game. They missed out on a lobby in comparison to all of our other competitors, right? And yet they are still managing to elevate themselves to being in that top 5 conversation. So Batman Booga, Rapid, definitely can't afford to take our eyes off of them by any means. Scoping in to what Yapko and Kwani have got going on. It's Flow trying to do what he can, but fortunately not gonna be able to escape this time. Sigma, have to imagine he was also caught in the action there, but a nice conversion for elimination points for Yapko and Kwani overall. Teams kind of just trying to filter through where they might be able to find their best fights on the map.
Love what we've been seeing out of Rise and Agers. Still so impressed by Agers' ability to play and perform as a solo. Here today, he's had a lot of moments where he's really put up the performance. Bryce and Bolt's one of the few teams that have taken that prestigious Victory Royale in a grand final setting. All of their hard efforts pushed them way on up to 488, still fighting for their global championship spot. And it's not over yet. We've seen what happens when a team gets a big, big win. They shake up the standings, they make it competitive. All of these teams are going to have to perform up until the very, very last game in the last moment.
Just kind of taking note where Chance was at in comparison to Bryce and Bolt's location over there at Reckless Railways. Bryce Bolt's probably mindful of the fact that they've got another duo in their vicinity, but Victor V and Paper, one more time, just kind of continuing to circle the flaming boost hoop that's near their drop. It seems like they may have even spotted out the fact that there's Duke sort of just a little bit ahead of them on the horizon. Cold Acorn, Nitro shoulder bash through some of these walls here as Cold wants to get an angle onto Tayson, and he finds it. That's an immediate knock there. Now Yamzo left to fend for himself, but Cold is just on a rampage. He is not allowing even a moment of relief here for Yamzo. Cold gonna take this opportunity now to just fully eliminate Tayson, so regardless of what happens with the Yamzo, best he can hope for is a play for the reboot card. Worst case scenario though, he gets eliminated outright. So he's gonna try to bail, but Cooper and Kanata from above looking to shut that dream down. Could be the end there.
Just to watch it, the way it kind of started, look at this. Cold under the effects of Nitro, swings all the way around that unlimited stamina, allowing to best Tayson on positioning there. And just like that, they find themselves those eliminations. And also, you know, can we just give like credit, just really quickly, the fact that Clix has also done this live, by the way, right? Like 100,000 concurrent viewers pretty much, which means millions tuning, you know, in and out over the course of a session is just, that's just bonkers in its own, right? Like to do what he has done already is just an incredible feat. That's just legendary, right? So this is a performance that we've never seen captured in this way before, let alone, right, continue to be unfolding in real time before our eyes as we have these 2 games in front of us.
And right now, Veno and Clix just gonna opt to use the campfire on this hill nearby, their initial starting point. You can tell they're basically the only team in the area, so if it's a dead side rotate that they're after, should be able to accomplish it. Problem is, we did see Evan and Flappy earlier on getting eliminated elsewhere, so those were points that could have honestly been nice for Clix and Veno to try and secure yet again. At the same time, though, I'm sure they'll be able to make up for the surge damage elsewhere. It seems like they've got a solid game plan mapped out for them to be sticking around inside of that storm as long as they were.
Haven't seen much of Reason Curly. They've had a bit of a slow performance here today. Bryson Bolts have continued to pick it up. Dukes and Sphinx started off really, really strong as well, and they've continued to, you know, show themselves, come to top 15, top 10. But here we have the traditional approach to a huge surge base just outside the Reckless Railways. Plenty of teams to choose from. However, they're all already situated. So if you didn't, you know, fight them on their way to the location, then it is very unlikely that you're going to get easy opportunities to find tags here and now. You just give it a moment. The surge will start to activate. Folks will start to figure out, okay, what do I have to do here? Do I have to fight? Can I sit this one out?
It's so obvious, though, that Dukes and Sphinx, their reformatted strategy heading into day 2 has paid off dividends. They're one of our teams where, if you looked at day 1, it wasn't, you know, completely chalked by any means, but certainly not the position that most teams would want to find themselves in, and yet they've managed to just bounce back heavy and really force their way into the title of contention here. To pick up how they actually adjust throughout the course of these final 2 lobbies. Rapid and Batman Booga, though, they're trying to stake their claim to the capture point here at Rift Island. And I'm almost kind of just trying to scan the skies here, waiting for Peterbot and Pollo, Acorn and Cole to sort of make their debut.
Look at this, Veno full on keying into Miro and Pink here. Pink off to the side. Miro tries to double back to support his teammate, but the damage is just way too much. And they rip him apart. Pink does escape there. Clix wasn't able to finish the deal. However, they're going to be content with this entire refresh here. And not only that, I mean, they're center zone right now, so they'll have plenty to kind of work with here as far as solidifying a pretty strong structure if they so choose to.
Right, and I think in that moment, too, Clix did exactly what he needed to. He just held Pink at bay. You could tell that Pink was trying to see if he could reunite, provide some sort of cover, some form of support there, but with the way that Clix just kind of sat himself in between the two, that really allowed Veno to just have clean, open line of sights onto Miro. Nowhere for him to really escape either. It's really hard to try and actually build up when you're stuck at the bottom of that cliff face. So I just like the execution of the play there that Clix and Veno were able to pull off. And they've definitely left Pink in a very tough position here. Because is it possible for him to lap back around for Miro's reboot card and bring him back into this lobby? Sure, but now you're going to be a bit shambles as far as your surge situation is concerned. And that's not even factoring in the kind of distance they're probably going to have to cover to even make it into zone in the first place.
One thing I liked about what Veno did with all the excess loot, he's going to build that huge surge tower. I don't know if you saw it, and then go recap his material. So they're going to be in such a dominant position. We'll see how it ends up shaping out on the surge standings. Meanwhile, we jump back in with Booga and Aviv here. Booga and Aviv dropped the game today, and you can see that it's weighing heavily on their overall point status here. And that's because if you don't earn basically at least 100 points per game today, you are going to fall. You're going to fall fast given how consistent everyone else has continued and managed to be. Last game, though, was a great bounce back opportunity for Bugha and Aviv. So they've, you know, kept it competitive for themselves, if you will. But look at this. This is not looking good. Peterbot is hurt here. Pollo is down, and the lobby is firing in. He's running low on material now as well. But he's gonna get the save. And Quanti doesn't have time to jump down. Quanti is debating on options here, and he's gonna back off. And talk about a close call. If they would have fallen here, wow, what a story we'd have playing out before our eyes.
Granted, they're not out of the hot water just yet. I know that they just managed to find themselves above that damage threshold. Quanti, however, he's in a really tough position. He was forced to kind of leave Yapko behind there, but Pollo and Peterbot just over this ridge. I saw Acorn and Gold, and they're not the only ones that could be lurking nearby. So Pollo and Peterbot, they could still potentially get caught out here, but it is going to be a lot more difficult to try and confirm an elimination onto one or a pair even after they got that refresh off of Yapko.
Fast to react there, but unfortunately couldn't time the drop. Bolt and Bryce, every time we tune in, position themselves high and mighty over the lobby. I like that they play like this as well. It's just a refreshing take. Still fishing for tags here. Zone's not too far off, and they're continuing to do what they need to remain relevant. Dukes and Finks on the other side. Very much neck and neck on the point threshold, too. Like, look at that. They are just about equal with Bryce up top.
I think a lot of our teams inside of that top 10 sort of understanding they can't afford to have even the slightest stumble at this point, because then you're left with only one lobby to perform. And with the way that things are shaping up here, MDF, I could definitely see some craziness ensuing inside of our final match of this weekend. Bugha and Aviv, though, they've traveled down from that north end of Classy Courts, spent a decent amount of time inside of the storm, and yet they still find themselves well above that damage threshold. So they have been able to converge on other players for that damage. Still, this lobby on the other end of the bridge, across from Reckless Railways, Peterbot, Pollo, trying to see if they can get an opening onto Virgo and Shadow. Veno and Clix as well. Clix is incredibly hurt here. They do have an ample amount of heals. The problem is, will they be able to get them off? They could even potentially get held here just outside the edge zone.
This is a fight that is definitely winnable, but Zeke jumps in, and you just never know once you start throwing the wild cards in the mix here. Like I said before, there's a reason I call Seek and Dash, in particular the Disruptors, alongside Nerface and Sid. They are just really good when it comes down to taking fights, taking battles. Blaha and Mixon are also a very scary duo to fight here today. If you just look at the points, though, as far as total earned points, you wouldn't figure them to be such a threat, but today they're playing like a top 10 duo and then some. So this is a very dangerous position to be in for Clix and Vino now, who have completely exhausted their heals. Look at that. And everyone in this bottom pocket here is very worse for wears right now. Blaha, though, does have a med kit to play with. He's got plenty of materials, so it was just a means of surge. And now playing for the zone here, it's going to go north. So this is good, this early reveal. They should be moving soon and not sticking around, so they won't be too much of a problem for some of the other teams here. But it's going to be the surge that's going to start determining a lot for teams here. Blaha and Mixon will have to fight.
They're trying to get some traction up this hill, but unfortunately, that heal situation rapidly dwindling. especially once those Storm Surge ticks start to come into effect. Paco gets knocked in the distance. This could be a much needed amount of damage here for Blaha and Mixon. It does cut the gap ever so slightly, but they're still 68 below that threshold margin. They need more. Shots raining in as well from Chubbs and Skittles on the high ground across the way, and they're not the only ones. Victor V, Paper as well, also holding a decent elevated position. So Blaha Mixon, they're forced to wrap around from the opposite end that they were initially planning to patch their way through. Threats, though, this is big. Threats is found on the low ground, but he clutches it up. Havoc nearly playing spoiler there. He might have done just enough, though, to ruin Threats' initial plans here to try and revive Trashy. If he can get this mech hit off, he does have enough to work with, but he might just have to keep it moving. I don't know if he's gonna have time. It doesn't look like the intention here is to go for the pickup any longer.
Yeah, there's still shots coming in. And then if you bring your focus to Vino and Clicks, is not looking good for them. They are so hurt right now. And although they've earned 3 eliminations this game, tags are also coming in, and they're out of material. Crashback comes out. It is a desperate move to the dead side of the zone right now. Very, very close call for them. There's teams in front of them, but the terrain is going to work in their favor. Now, here's the question. Do they just sit and wait for an opportunity to come their way? Do they play for placement points here and now? But instead, it seems like the decision's being called out. They want this refresh. They have to get it, but no. Poffy and company make it up and over.
It's gonna be one more crash back forward. Veno, he's still got Source and Poffy in his sights, but he might have to change his mind. He can't find another duo in time, though. That's gonna be the end of their 11th lobby run here at the hands. Sphinx for 1 credited. Threats, though, 3 eliminations. And again, keep in mind, they were sitting at 3rd, entering this lobby. Threats trying to do everything in his power. He's gonna catapult himself forward, front side of zone, but he knows he's gonna have to stick to the low ground. He's trying to go by unnoticed. For the time being, he is in a relatively isolated position, but as these teams continue to move forward, that could be a very problematic position that Threats finds himself in.
Given what just played out, Clicks and Vino falling in 20th, Peterbot and Boyo still standing here and likely to run up plenty more points. Do we put it past Vino to land on Clicks, make the call for Vino and Clicks to land on Peterbot and Boyo? The only chance that they have is to literally take these guys out of the lobby. There's about 50 or 60 points gapping them right now. So come when this game concludes and all the points have been tallied up, it's only going to become more and more worse if they remain standing here. Threats has a chance here to catch up, but it's not looking good. They're also going to get locked in position, so 2nd and 3rd for now won't move an inch, but Acorn and Cold are up top. They have a lot of room to go ahead and catch up now, depending on how big of a game they can make out of this one. They'll be in the race for 1st place as well coming into the last game.
Like what Cole did there from the other end, make sure that they can connect from the high ground. So now they've got their pick of the litter, and Acorn, he's going to continue tarping out. As you already called, good amount of material to work with as well, and they know that they have time on their side because of how much damage they already have above that surge threshold. They're just looking down, waiting for their opportunities. They see teams going for the rotates. Duke's going to be one of the first ones getting lit up in the sky. These crash pad rotates now seemingly more impossible to go by unscathed. Peterbot and Poyo, though, they find Mongrel and Mr. Savage. Excuse me, it's just gonna be Mongrel on the low ground, but regardless, the damage is done here. Taken out in seconds as Peterbot and Poyo, even though they don't necessarily have the greatest material count, it might not matter. They know they can slow play this, and they're gonna drop to ultimate low instead. They're just trying to clean up eliminations as they slide into them.
This has been the game plan the entire time. Every time they jump down and they just work their way, cut down the lobby from the low ground here. But look, Boyo's down. Peterbot's solo here. He will have to play this one out. Continued. We're not inside the top 10 just yet, but he's got a lot of material to work with given the fact that he's on the ultimate low ground. Plenty of builds here. Meanwhile, high ground pressure continues to come down. Acorn and Cold hasn't given up an inch here. They are keeping that height very much distance from the rest. And look, the fact that the rest of the lobby hasn't even had a chance to look up and pressure them back tells us a lot. Peterbot slow healing through the zone, placement points slowly getting banked right here. He's in the 700 plus point threshold. It's crazy to even look at those numbers. It's absurd at how much he has been able to earn this game and continues to earn. A lot of competition in front of him though. Batman Booga Rapid still in the game. Sphinx Duke's here. Muzz, Epic Whale still alive. A lot of teams that are fighting for global championship spots are still here in the running.
But Acorn and Cold, they're content to just let the rest of this lobby sort of cannibalize itself for them. They're still perched pretty up above everybody else. Rapid and Batman Booga trying to do what they can to work their way up. Instead, they're finding themselves moderately chopped. Sphinx and Dukes, though, they're going to get shut down. But it's too little too late here. Rapid finds himself falling, caught in the crossfires. Peterbot actually going to prosper, but it's only momentary. Cold has dropped. Join the mix with everybody else just playing that ultimate cleanup crew. It's only Batman Booga going for the medkit playoff. But I don't know if he has the... Actually, take that back. He's got plenty of medkits to work with.
He's got a lot of heals, and this is a 10 elimination game. They are going to be in the race, by the way, for an FNCS championship here. Acorn and Cold, I can't believe they are flying their way up the standings as well. This is going to go all the way through to the end. I love that he's going to crash pad very far and away here. Acorn, very, very smart play. Cold is trying to make sure that Batman Booga couldn't get the points, but it doesn't matter. Acorn and Cold in the end will win this game. Their second victory royale now within a 3-span run is just incredible. An incredible feat to perform here on the day 2 of the grand finals.
Still gotta love the hustle there from Batman Booga. He had 4 medkits that he was trying to operate with for that initial heal off. Unfortunately for him, Acorn, yeah, he just played for the win there. He essentially knew, look, we understand the fact that he's hidden somewhere in all of these pre-existing builds. I don't have to waste my time hunting him down. I'm gonna leave that up to Cole to play Disruptor. And yeah, Acorn just able to solidify, confirm a second victory royale though, MDF. And Acorn and Cold have now, without a doubt in my mind, entered this conversation for a very real top of the leaderboard run.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to be able to close the gap, but only time will tell. Well, listen, give us a second. We have standings. We have points to start adding up here. When we get back, we'll have plenty of more Fortnite coming your way.